AEW Unrestricted. Welcome in, folks. I'm Will Washington, and you know Aubrey Edwards is here.
Hello.
But today is a very special day here at AEW because we are celebrating the release of Who We Are, a Celebration of Excellence, Volume 2. This is a project that I'm very excited about, very excited to talk about. I was a part of the first one, and that was pre me joining AEW, and that project meant so much to me. And to get to see the second one come together, and it feels even bigger than the first one. It's so cool, and it's available now. You can check it out on all of your favorite platforms, all of your favorite music platforms. It is available right now. But joining us today on AEW Unrestricted to talk about it, we've got the executive producer of the project, Mr. Mikey Ruckus.
Hell yeah.
Thank you for having me. Glad to be here.
And joining us right now is actually one of my favorite people in the world. And I was so glad that he got to be a part of this project.
Yes.
He's actually got, he's got some music on the project. And hearing the song that he got to do, I'm really excited to talk to Victor Perry.
Yes.
Victor, you have a track on the album with Josiah Williams for Willow Nightingale. I heard it a little while ago, about a year ago, and it was, and I remember her listening to it in the locker room, and it was just like, to watch her face light up at this song, Babe with the Power. I want to talk about, first off, Mikey, I want to talk with you about how this all came together this second time around.
Well, with the first one, there was this kind of overwhelming feeling of the gravity and the weight of what we were doing, because it was the first in professional wrestling, and it was very important to have people from all walks of life within the Black community to come and tell the stories of our AEW talent at that time. And it meant so much just because it was so groundbreaking, and being able to step back and let others create and tell the story of culture from their perspective. I wanted to see that happen again, but this time a little bit more of a refined approach, where we brought Rich Latta in to produce probably 90% of the tracks that were on the album. And this time, as opposed to like this, a little bit more of a serious tone with the first one, this one we kind of like lifted the gates up, and just there's a party vibe. There's a real celebration that's happening from the first track all the way to the end. Our first album, we had a couple of performers on the album itself, Sonny Kiss and Max Caster. This time we have Carly Bravo and our world champion Swerve Strickland on the track, and just feeling the overarching feel of just vibe and party and celebration. It just feels so much bigger and so much more expansive, and there's just a joy that rings throughout the entire album. So, it was good for me to be able to just take a step back again and just kind of oversee things and let Rich kind of lay the foundation, and then bring people in and tell those stories. Some of the talent from the first album came in, and then we've got some new ones as well. And Victor is one of those, and hearing his voice ring out on that chorus, like I stood up out of my chair, and the first thing I did was I ran downstairs to show Mrs. Ruckus, and she was like, "Y'all got a hit." So, I mean, just overall, just a great vibe, and I'm really excited to see this finally hit daylight.
Now, Victor being here, this. Just so people who don't know Victor, of course, famous for the Wrestling Club. And it's not a gimmick, by the way. Victor is literally in the classroom right now. It is summer school time. If you're watching the video version. Victor, I want to talk about, first off, getting to be a part of this project. I don't think maybe a lot of people don't know that you also do music. And it's actually something that I'm a big fan of. We've talked about this personally. But talk to me a little bit about your music background.
Yeah, so music has always been like my first love. It's music and wrestling. And I never thought it would be possible to have a marriage between the two. Just never thought that my path would cross in the way that it has with wrestling. And so like being a part of this project is literally a huge honor. I remember when I was invited, I remember calling my mom and dad and was like, yo, I'm going to do a project for wrestling. And it was like, this is what you wanted. And I was like, yeah, everything I've done for I would say last 7-8 years has culminated to being part of this project, which is really, really cool.
So I'm a little curious kind of how this all works, because we have so many like amazing talent coming in and doing all these different tracks. Victor, how did you get involved with specifically Willow's track?
Mikey reached out. He was like, we got this dope track and we think you'd be great, have a great hook. And I was really nervous. So I was like, oh goodness, this is my first time working with Mikey, with anyone else, you know? And so I was just like, okay, I'm just going to approach it how I would approach anything that I've ever done. And so they sent over the track and I wrote like a hook, shared it with them, and they were like, yo, this is dope. And I shared my ideas, refined some of the lyrics, recorded it. They recorded their verses and we put it all together. It happened, I would say like what, in a week? It was very fast.
Yeah.
And it really feels like Willow was almost the right person for you, for you specifically. You know, she's of course come and visited the class, and it feels like she's really important to your students, and so for her to get to be a part of that, I think, to me, it just made perfect sense for you guys. And again, for her, when she heard the track, I remember the day she heard the track, and I want to say it was the day you came to visit. It was Grand Slam of last year. You guys all came to Grand Slam, and that was the first time she got to hear it, and that felt like a moment, and I thought that was really, really cool. But do you feel like Willow was the right fit for you, and especially for what you represent with the wrestling club?
Most definitely. It was like easy. You know, it was one of the easiest songs I've ever written, because I think we're similar. You know, when I look at Willow, I see joy. I see she says this thing, always smile. You know, it doesn't matter, just smile. And I think that's something that I preach in the classroom with my students. It's like, just smile. You know, you're going to get through it. You know, no matter how difficult it may seem in that present moment, it's temporary. And, you know, if you just put a smile on your face and just work through it, you're going to overcome it and become something even better. And so I think Willow and I, it was just the perfect synergy. Like, and then when she came and visited the kids, it was like, yo, this was meant to be, you know, like that joy is something that the world is lacking. And I think it's important that it is shared in all spaces, at every single chance you get an opportunity to share it. And so I'm just, like I said, honored, and grateful that I was able to be a part of this project, but also be a part of a project that tributes someone that I look up to, who is Willow.
Question for Victor. Speaking of Willow and whatnot, and coming to your classroom, one of the things I love about Wrestling Club is that you're just presenting wrestling in such a positive way to a young audience, and seeing the videos of your kids watching like Osprey and Danielson and just losing their minds, right? Like, it's so cool. Have they heard the track? And if not, like, are you gonna? Ooh, you haven't. Okay, are you gonna share it with them?
Yeah. One thing I've learned and one thing I've been really good at over the years is keeping a secret. And so I have not.
It's all about wrestling. You got to keep the secrets, man.
Yeah. So I can't wait to share it with them, especially when we meet back up in like a month. But even the kids that I have now who aren't part of the wrestling club just yet, I'm going to introduce it to them and show them, like, look, this is the magic you can create in wrestling. It's not just wrestling. It's so much more.
Man, I love that, and I love getting to talk with you. I love that you got to be a part of this project. Again, it is Who We Are, a Celebration of Excellence, Volume 2. It is available on all music platforms right now. You can find it on Spotify. You can find it on Apple Music. You can find it on YouTube Music. Wherever you get your music, definitely check out Who We Are. It's available now. We've got so much more here on AEW Unrestricted coming up. We're going to be joined by Carly Bravo, and later on in the show, we're joined by producer Rich Latta. All that right here when AEW Unrestricted continues.
Unrestricted.
AEW Unrestricted, we are talking about Who We Are, Volume 2, and I am super stoked to have one of our amazing coworkers joining us with our other amazing coworker. We've got Carly Bravo, who is on the track, but I want to start with Mikey and just have him talk about this track in particular.
I was just putting Carly over before we even started. Like, Bravo in the building, what it do?
Hey.
This is my favorite song on the entire album, and not to put anybody else underneath it, but this track right here, this is a bump. This is a vibe. I got up out of my chair and did the little Puerto Rican old man dance when I heard it the first time. Like, Bravo really laid it down. And this, man, I am so happy to have him on this album.
Hell yeah.
Bad News and Tattoos, Carly Bravo. Let's talk about it. Let's talk about the track. And first off, when did you find out you were going to be a part of the album?
They contacted me and told me that they wanted to make a song for me, and that's cool. But you guys know me very well. You know, who's better for me than me? You know, so I was like, all right, that's cool. But is it possible that maybe you know, I think even Ruckus might have made the suggestion that like, hey, like maybe you actually do the actual song yourself, and from there, kaboom! You know. Just went from there. I love talking about myself, so it was an easy thing.
Oh, that's great. And so, yeah, it's a energetic track. It's I think it is very representative of who people know you to be. And so, what was it like getting to put this track together and getting to essentially talk about yourself? You get to, you know, everybody wants to eventually write their own biography, right?
Yeah.
But I think it's even better to get to immortalize yourself in a song.
Yes.
And so how was that? How was that process getting to put that together?
All right, so easy peasy for me. I mean, I don't know if you guys know, but my history was I was a rapper. That's where I came from. Rapping was my thing. I was real big in the South, in Atlanta. I was like the guy out here. You know what I'm saying? So I just stopped doing it to wrestle. You know what I'm saying? Like I moved on. It was a passion I had when I was a kid, and now we're here. It was cool to like revisit that and be able to tap back into who I was. You know what I'm saying? I went to the same studio I used to record back in Atlanta. I was with the same people that engineered everything. I had my whole team in the room and everything like that. So it was a whole vibe. It literally was the party that it felt like it was on the song. You know what I'm saying? And again, they were like, make a song about yourself. I needed more people to feel what it felt like to be Carly Bravo than just hear about me, talk about me. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's what I was going for. So it just kind of hit.
Well, so I that actually leads me down an interesting path here because I want to talk about your background with hip hop and you know, when did you get started making music?
Oh, Jesus! I mean, I'm from New York in the '90s, right? So I started making music when I was a kid. We was rapping in basements and rapping in stairwells and rapping at lunch tables and people banging on the lunch table and stuff like that. Professionally, like for real, I got into music when I got out the military. You know what I'm saying? So I'm saying like maybe 2011. You know, I was like, I got out the military and I didn't know what else to do. I was an infantry Marine. You know, I needed to figure out something to keep my time going, and what better way to do that than to do something you're passionate about. So I started rapping, and I found out I was really, really good at it. You know, and I used that to open the doors that I would further walk through going forward. You know what I'm saying? That's how I got found to do this, through rapping and going around, you know what I'm saying, to even start getting to wrestling. So it was interesting. It was real cool. You know what I'm saying? It was, I mean, shoot, I've been rapping forever.
So, Mikey, question for you, because I know that we had a couple talent on the first volume of the album kind of participate. In this one, we've got Carly, we've got Swerve. So how important was it for you to get talent involved from like on the microphone perspective for this album?
Yeah, for me, authenticity is always first and foremost. And having AEW talent that can actually put their descriptive words into the music themselves, it just gives it that much more authenticity to it. I always live by the standard of never trying to shoehorn anyone into anything. You know, we get approached all the time about different ideas and people wanting to do certain things. And for me, it's always tone, cadence, delivery, and vibe, you know, and from the overall producer, Rich Latta, to the other artists that came in, to the actual talent that we have that's performing on the track, having all of these pieces come together and not shoehorning them in, but letting them find their pocket was very important to me because overall it's about authenticity and it's about the expression of the culture itself. So I am super excited to have Carly on it. I'm super excited to have Swerve on it. And it just makes the overall project just that much more important and that much more meaningful and personal.
Well, Carly, one more thing I wanted to talk about is the fact that so last week we were joined by Trish Adora here on the show.
Okay. Okay.
And of course she was very much putting you over. She was putting over Sean. She was putting over just the fact that the camaraderie between you three is so authentic. And I want to kind of follow up on that a little bit because for our viewers and listeners who don't quite know the true relationship between how much you guys support each other and how much that relationship means to you guys. I kind of want to hear that from your perspective because, again, she got to talk about it a lot and how much you guys really big her up. Literally last week on Collision, we had a graphic for a matchup between Trish Adora and Tony Storm. But you guys weren't featured in the graphic, and that was a big deal to you guys because you guys are a unit. You guys run together, and I just want a second to talk about the infantry and what that means to you.
Well, I appreciate that. We are, in all sense of the word, family. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. Where there's one, there's always three. Y'all know that. If y'all, Aubrey, you see us all the time. Will, you see us. You never see one of us without the others. You know what I'm saying? We're always together, right? That's important, and you need that not only in this industry but in life. You know, again, we kind of all understand where each other is coming from, where each other is at. We're all from, not to be funny, from impoverished areas. We all went to the military. You know, we all have wild family dynamics, you know what I'm saying? And somehow through all of that, we found each other in wrestling, you know what I'm saying? Not only in wrestling, but at AEW, you know what I'm saying? And it was a wild series of events for us all to even get together that we just we just really appreciate. And because of that, it caused us to always just get to know each other. You be with these people all the time. You know, me and Captain over the last 5-6 years have developed such a friendship and a brotherhood and a camaraderie. Trish came in and she fit like a puzzle piece. You know what I'm saying? And it's important like that what you see is what you get with us. You know, like that friendship to me means more to me than anything because you need people in this industry like that aren't just your friends when the lights are on. They're also your friends, you know what I'm saying, behind the curtain and everything like that. And in real life, like real life family, you need people like that. We're like Vin Diesel and Fast and Furious. Like we really about family with this thing, you know? And like you said, like things like that, like it's small to people, you know, they got Trish on this situation. It's not a publicity thing. Like we always with Trish always with us. For a minute, it was like, hey, we're the infantry. It's not the infantry and Trish Adora. That was a big thing. And now they don't say anything about that. The infantry's Trish Adora, the infantry's Bad News and Tattoos, the infantry's Carly Bravo. Like the infantry is to the stanza, but we're freaking family. And that's important for us, you know, just to have that locked in and hold each other down and build each other up so each other can move forward and stuff like that. Like that's real life for us.
Awesome. This was just so good. Oh my God. I love it. I love it so much. I can't wait to hear the track, especially after the way that Mikey put it over. I'm so stoked.
Hey,
oh
man,
my God.
Your song. I promise you it's going to be your favorite song.
I believe it. I mean, like, you're not wrong. I don't think there's ever been a point where you've been wrong. This is awesome. We've been talking to Mikey Ruckus and Carly Bravo here on AEW Unrestricted. And coming up, we have producer Rich Latta.
Welcome back to AEW Unrestricted. It's Will and Aubrey, and we're talking Who We Are, a Celebration of Excellence, Volume 2. Mikey Ruckus has been here all show, but as mentioned earlier, we are joined by a man who served as producer on this album, a man who I've become very familiar with and great friends with over the last few years. Our first, I think it was Revolution. No. It was Double or Nothing 2021, right? Yeah, Double or Nothing 2021. Yeah. But it is Rich Latta. Rich, thanks for being here.
Oh, man. Pleasure to be here. Longtime listener of the show. Very happy to talk about a project that I put a lot of myself into, not only the first volume, or the second volume, but the first one as well.
That's right. And with the first one, I recall there being that one you really got to learn a lot, and I recall, I remember the variations on the Jade Cargill track, things like that, and things that had to change. But you really got to dive into kind of new experiences and new genres.
That part was pretty cool because I kind of came in kind of at the last minute. I think on the last one, I don't think I was on the original list. It was a big shout out to Montezi. He's like, "Yo, can I get my boy Rich, to produce something?" So I just made a couple tracks and sent them in. And there was one of them I just sent a verse on, like the Nyla song. So I was like, the worst thing they can do is say, "Hey, man, we're not going to use it, but I might as well just, send it over." So, and I think a big thing that helped, open Mikey's eyes, at least, to look to me in the future was some of the beat breakdown videos I did for some of the Jade song, the remade reggae version with Anthony King and Montezi and Reg and. It was really fun to work on those songs and really just kind of display what I can make. And big shout out to Phil Lindsay, who wrote a column on Bleacher Report at the time, and he embedded all those videos. So I don't know who saw that, someone did, and I'm back here in full force.
So Mikey, I want to ask you, I guess we'll pivot from exactly what Rich just said. What made you decide that Rich was the guy for this project?
So it's always a combination of things. So I have been a big proponent that when the time is right, we pull the trigger and start putting together a talent bench. Every place that I've worked previously, I've always looked to who's the next in line, who can come up and be the next one to even possibly go on to do bigger and better things than me. That's always been my way. And I've been surveying the landscape since I joined AEW in 2019 and working with Rich on a couple of occasions, not just Who We Are, but also he delivered some verses on Marina Shafir's theme. And on top of talent, there's just a vibe. There's a vibe and there's a great attitude. There's a great the vibe of being teachable. Is one of the things that I always look at. And Rich carries all of those qualities. And Rich, I'm going to put you over for a little bit. All right. You good with that?
Get out of the way.
Rich is extremely versatile. And, we get people that we encounter all the time in this business that says, "I'm the guy for this. I'm the guy for that. I can do this. I can do that." And 99% of the time when they get the light cast on them to do what you need them to do, a lot of times it doesn't exactly happen the way they've talked themselves up. Rich was extremely humble, and he didn't overtly put himself out there. Just being able to work with him and get the vibe that this guy's going places. That's kind of the vibe that I got. And I'm looking at a couple of other people as well, but Rich really stood out to me for this project. Again, like I was saying earlier, I'm a big proponent of culture representing itself. And, Denzel Washington had a really good quote in an interview where he talked about Martin Scorsese and he talked about Steven Spielberg. I
know the one you're talking
directed,
about. Yep.
Yeah, Steven Spielberg directed Schindler's List, Martin Scorsese, Goodfellas. Either one of them could have directed the other films and it would have been great. But having those two individuals direct those films in particular, it was about the culture. And having somebody to come in and really just give an overall arc to
that whole
this
thing,
project.
by the way, turned out to be like a knock on Amistad, right? Because Steven Spielberg ended up directing that, and it was like you probably could have gotten a black director for that movie. So
yeah, for sure. And it made sense to me the first time I heard it, and it was something that I took with me. And when we started to come up with this idea originally, I instantly was drawn back to that in my mind, and I said, we could drop beats and we can drop different productions all day long, but for really this particular project, I needed to kind of step back and oversee, help put up some guardrails and how we produce things in AEW, and just kind of let Rich create, do his thing, interact with the other artists that we brought in, and just really give him the opportunity to create.
Man. Okay, so question, and mind you, I'm asking this from a perspective of I work in wrestling. I know nothing about music production. So I'm really curious as to how the collaboration process works between Mikey and Rich with everyone else involved with the project, like with specific wrestlers. Like how do you even pick which wrestlers do you want to feature? How do you give people different sorts of reign? Like we've got the track with Carly and Swerve that are just, them highlighting their skills, and then we've got other tracks with other people. How does this whole process work from a collaboration standpoint?
Well, I'll jump in there first, and then Rich can follow up for sure. I There are certain I had mentioned it before. There's certain tone, cadence, and delivery that you feel kind of matches up with talent, and a lot of times that's what happens when we create our entrance themes. You want to make sure that the right people are in the right spot for the job, and so I had a basic idea of who I wanted to be where, but then again, I just kind of let Rich come in and do his thing. If he had people that he thought would work in separate things, so it was kind of like the same vibe, just allowing him to do the same thing. And I was only there if there needed to be some adjustments, or if there needed to be something like redone, or hey, can we mix this a little bit differently? But I let him kind of do his thing. He was the cook in the kitchen, and I was just expediting the orders. So I guess that's the best way to put it.
Yeah, like for me, how I kind of looked at it, like we had like a list of the talent that were going to be involved in a project. So I had worked on a lot of instrumentals for it, and I was like, all right, who do I see? When I look at them, either even Stephen Smith, for example, referee Arbery, very familiar with him. So like when I saw his thing, I'm like, all right, he's not a wrestler or anything, but how do I like come up with music that would fit him? So I was like, let's just make it real, swaggy, real flossy and stuff like that. And I basically assigned like all the instrumentals essentially to the vibe I was looking for of the wrestler. Like, for example, like Swerve is like very in your face. I was like, all right, we're gonna give him some drill essentially and just like let him go. Carly Bravo, high energy. So I was like, yeah, I think that would be good for him. Willow Nightingale, her song "Babe with the Power," which I'm actually rapping on with Josiah Williams and Victor Perry. And that one's just more like it's laid back, but it's also aggressive at the same time. So I'm really trying to match Queen Eminata, for example. The instrumental that I made for her is actually like it's basically me remaking Dedication by Nipsey Hussle off memory. Like, and like that was like kind of like that's where I was going with it. I don't know if it exactly fitted, but I was like, has this very regal sounding, feel to it. I was like, I think that would be for Queen Eminata. And then, I use, basically my thoughts on who I thought should, go on specific songs. There were new people that are on this album that weren't on the last one. I happened to bring a couple of those folks in and thought they could contribute similarly to the way I got brought in. So it was really cool to work in conjunction like with Mikey. Like, hey, this is who these are the beats. You pick the artist. Who goes where, and then I'll just coordinate and speak with the artists, and everyone turned out to be really cool.
Well, it's interesting because talking about how this process, how you got to control a bit of this process and get to bring other people in. It's fascinating because of the fact that you have been kind of Swerve's go-to producer for a very long time, but in the way that you got acquainted with Swerve was kind of in the same vein that you were working on this process. No.
So I kind of got affiliated with Swerve through Montezi. So like I started, I did shout out to Montezi. I did a interview on my buddy Floyd's podcast, who Floyd at that time, Montezi had a song about Cody that was out that he liked. So he's a big Cody fan. So he was like, yeah, I want to interview this rapper, but I don't know really anything about music. Rich, will you come on here with me? And then I found out that I live 20 minutes away from Montezi, and sometimes you're speaking the same language as someone. Essentially, like, oh, we're gonna talk after this. That was a Sunday. He gave me Swerve's number. Apparently, Swerve wanted to learn how to make beats at that time. Sent him a text message on Monday. I was at his house by Friday, and then we were linking up. I was like, all right, look, either I can show you how to make beats, or like what do you really want to do? And then a couple of weeks later, it turned into me, basically producing like 10 songs for their album GPS, and we've been rocking ever since.
Damn. Man, this is so cool. I love that like there's just these worlds that are so massive, but at the same time so small and interconnected, and everyone just knows everyone. And it all creates amazing magical moments. And I'm so happy. We heard a little bit earlier when we were talking with Mikey and our other guests on this show, kind of like the tracks that he's most excited about. Rich, which tracks on this album stand out to you as sort of your favorites?
I think I'm gonna bring it up again. The Stephon Smith song by Anthony King and Shokus Apollo. I think it is such a creative concept, because it's like, all right, you're not rapping about like you're not gonna get Will Nightingale. You didn't get Swerve. Swerve's gonna rap his own theme, so you're gonna be as creative as possible to still highlight this person, but do it in a creative way. I think Anthony King, like, basically with the concept of the chorus and the verses with Shokus Apollo, they ripped it. Like, I think it's just one of the more creative songs on the project. Carly Bravo's like Bad News and Tattoos. I think people are going to be
that's mine. That's mine right there. Bravo, win that Billy. What it do?
Yeah,
I can't help it, man. You gotta jump up. So I'm an old man. I can't do it like the kids do these days, but it's all good.
I'm not even kidding you. Like, in between the last guest and this one, we had a little bit of time, and I went for a run, and I just had that shit on loop. I was like, yeah, we didn't know. Like, it was so good.
Yeah, like, and I think like a big thing that I like to highlight in my production style are like the drums. I want to make sure the drums are really hitting hard, and I want to make sure the bass is like coming in like proper. And I think there's Athena has a song on here where it's like, all right, when I think of Athena, I don't necessarily think about hip hop, but what if we did? Like, and then that's kind of what we did for it. So
Flash Garments is actually on that track too.
Yeah.
Flash Garments is the one who was on Swerve's entrance theme as well. So.
Yeah,
Garments. I love it. I love that we get to see the synergy between our talent as well. So that's also really cool. And I've just been really excited about this album as a whole. I think that the first one was such an ambitious project, and again, getting to be a part of the first one and being a part of that process. And I remember how nerve-wracking it was, just getting everything together. I remember, Mikey, I sent you the instrumental for Red Velvet's theme at like 2:00 in the morning, because I had literally been up all night just like, is this right? Is it right? I don't know. And then she comes back, she's like, I love this. And it was amazing to see how much the talent really appreciated it. And that's where I was going with all this, that to see how much it spoke to the talent, how much they loved this music. And that's what I am hoping to see this next one bring about. And already just getting to talk with certain stars and hearing them, like I mentioned earlier in the show, I mentioned how, Willow, I watched her face as she heard her song for the first time. And,
really? Oh,
yeah.
I haven't talked to her yet, so I'd be interested. I would love to see what she thinks of it.
And honestly, it's always amazing when people get to hear themselves immortalized in music, and Who We Are is another opportunity to get to do that. And this has just been a really cool project, and I'm really proud of all you guys for getting to put this together this time around.
This is freaking sick.
It was my pleasure, like, being a part of it, like, and working with Mikey is always like amazing. Whenever like I look down and it's like Mikey Ruckus AEW, I'm like, all right, let's get it. We got a couple more things coming that are in the pipeline, and hopefully we got a part 3 on this. There's a lot people that could stand for some songs to get made about them too. So, throw that out there.
I'm just so freaking like excited for this album. Like, it's out today on all the streaming platforms. Please listen to it. It's incredible. There's a lot of incredible artists on it. Lots of different sounds, lots of different beats. Like, it's just a mix of culture, but also just all of the amazing AEW talent is on this album, is so represented in such a positive way. And I feel like you guys hit it out of the park with Volume 1, and there's no way that Volume 2 could be better. And then, of course, it's like, nah, you were wrong. Volume 2 totally kicks ass. This is great.
Well, thank you. I appreciate it.
Yeah, this is freaking great. Thank you guys for being here today. This is awesome. Download it now. Listen to the album. It's great. You can listen to this podcast on all of your favorite podcast platforms. AEW Unrestricted, available Thursday. Video is available on Mondays on our YouTube channel. Watch Dynamite Wednesdays on TBS. Rampage, TNT on Fridays. Collision, TNT on Saturdays. And then, of course, watch Ring of Honor on Thursdays on Honor Club. I am Aubrey Edwards with Will Washington. Definitely download Who We Are Volume 2. Listen to it. Oh my God, I could literally just repeat this over and over again. You will not be disappointed. Peace out.